Hi everyone, welcome back to SlipTwpKnit. My name is Shelby and I come to you from Shelby Township, Michigan, which is where I do my knitting. If you're new here, welcome and thank you for giving me a chance. And if you are a returning viewer, thank you for coming back. I really appreciate it. For those of you who are new, this is something I say in every single episode, but just a little bit of backstory. My name is Shelby. I'm from Shelby Township. So the local nickname for Shelby Township is Shelby Twp or the Twipp. So I wanted to incorporate that, being that I'm Shelby from Shelby Township. I call myself Shelby from the Twipp on most of my social media. So I wanted to incorporate that Twipp element into my podcast name. And so I did that as a mashup with the decrease stitch slip knit. That's how I got the name for the podcast, and at some point in the future I hope that I won't explain that every episode, but for now, a little bit of backstory, it's fine, no big deal. And as far as backstory goes, I do want to bring some attention and accountability as well. I know that in my last episode I said you'd be seeing me again in 2 weeks, and that was in mid-October. It is now early December, and a couple things happened. I just needed to take a couple weeks off in the scheme of things. I think it might have just been, it probably was just a change in weather, but it might have been a cold. I don't know. I got sick. I got quite sick, and it was ultimately seasonal allergies or a cold. My nose was, I'm not going to give you the details. I did go get tested for COVID-19 just to make sure I didn't have it, and I did not. But I did have there were a few days in there where I just felt like I had been hit by a truck. So I took some time off, and then I had some days off of work, and then I got vertigo. November was a bit of a blur for me, but the good news is I'm back now, so hopefully I can kind of continue as I mean to go on. So that is where I've been, and I apologize. Not that you probably were waiting very anxiously for me to come back, but just in case you were wondering what happened to me, I got sick, and November just kind of flew by and got away from me. So the good news is I do have, in my last episode, I had a finished object to show you, and I discussed a possible, hopeful, upcoming project, and I have another finished object today, which was that other project which I had not yet casted on during that last episode. So I cast it on, it was mid-October, and I did manage to finish it by the end of November. So that's sock number 1. This is sock number 2. These are the Honeybee Dancce socks. This is a pattern by Helen Stewart, also known as Curious Handmade. And I specifically picked this pattern for this yarn, really, in the scheme of things, because I love this color. And also there were some design elements of the pattern that did appeal to me. So here's a close-up of what it looks like. Focus. Okay, it's focusing now. So this is what the pattern looks like up close. There's some honeycomb looking cables here along the edge, and then here, I don't know what I don't know if there's actually like a honeybee element of this, but I always feel like this little section of the pattern reminds me of a bee. Actually, maybe it'll look better if I flip it upside down. So as you can see, like this triangle, it kind of looks like like an insect's body, and then you got a little head up here, and I think those look like antenna. That might not actually have been Helen Stewart's intention when she designed these socks, but that's my interpretation of, I don't know, like I said, it looks like little insects to me, and little honeycomb, and I think it's very good. Also, so this yarn is Berroco Ultra Wool Fine, and this is the color Butternut. And I used this yarn on another project previously on my friend Tony's socks, which I discussed in my last episode. I just really love this yarn. It feels like a woolly wool even though it's superwash. And if you even look at this, it looks so sad. This is the most satisfying yarn I have ever seen in stockinette stitch. Like, when I was working on these, I just would admire the stockinette stitch on this. So I really do think that at some point I'm gonna have to get myself more of the Ultra Wool Fine in this color specifically, just so I can knit something else out of it. It's not gonna be a pair of socks, and I might talk a little bit about that in the next segment as well, but that is what, this was a fun pattern to knit. I was a little apprehensive because I didn't know if I would complete a full pair of socks by the end of November. If you didn't watch last episode, I mentioned the Forest City Knit Girls, which is another podcast I watch and which I like. They were having a sock knit along, and it was running through November 30th. So being that it was October, already mid-October, I was kind of apprehensive. I wasn't sure if I was gonna finish a pair of socks in time, but I did. And so I'm happy with it. I'm proud. The first sock took me a little while. I didn't frog it. I didn't have to correct anything. There was something about it that was kind of slow going. But the second sock, because I knew I was on a deadline, and the first sock probably took me mid-October through mid-November to finish. So I knew I had a limited period of time to work on this one. So on the second sock, I basically did the ribbing section and the first pattern repeat in one day, and then I just did a different pattern repeat every day following that. And I finished these on Sunday the 29th. So I did meet the deadline of the 30th. So I'm really proud of that. I'm really happy with it. And I did something that I wasn't so sure about doing, because you guys may realize or remember this, but 2020 was a very slow knitting year for me. I didn't knit very much. At the beginning of the year, I was like, I'm gonna knit so much, and I didn't, because everything happened this year, and yeah. So I'm sorry, I'm just gonna love on these socks for a second. I'm so happy that are done. But now I can start wearing them. I am wearing a pair of hand knit socks today, and I'll take my slipper off, but see, I'm wearing these. These are my Tuku honey socks. This is a pattern by Andrea Mowry. I think it's actually the first Andrea Mowry pattern I ever knit, and it was probably the second pair of socks I ever knit, so yay for that. And anyway, I'm wearing my Tuku honey socks. They are knit on Tuku wool in some color. They're purple. I'm wearing them with my slippers today because it's December and we had snow, so that's what I'm doing. But I can start wearing these whenever I want, which might just be tomorrow. So okay, I'm done talking about these socks. Okay, next I want to talk about an upcoming project, my next project. So in my last episode also, I believe I talked about my friend Kelly from Miss Kel's Crafty podcast. She and I want to do another knit along amongst friends, and she wanted to do the Half Moon Oracle by Woolen Vine. So that is what is next on the needles for me. And we were both supposed to cast on yesterday, which was December 1st. We did not both cast on yesterday, but I did manage to cake up my yarn this morning. So these are the colors I'm going to be using, and I think probably for, maybe not for the first time, but definitely not, anyway, this is like the first time one of the first times I'm mixing and matching yarn from different dyers. So these are the 3 colors I'm going to be using. And so the first color here, this is you know, a silvery color. This is Mint Rain in her, I actually don't know what base it is, but the color is called Daenerys. So it's named after Daenerys Targaryen. I think it might be somewhat derived from the wedding dress Daenerys wore in season 1 of Game of Thrones, and it says that it's the soft sock. So this is just her, it's 100% superwash merino, and so that's one color. The next color is Myth Fingering, and this is by Dragon Horde Yarn in the color Goblin Market. And I saw this color online, and I know sometimes finding a color online is, I don't know, sometimes I feel like the lighting is different, but I'm really happy with this color. I'm happy with the way it caked up. I'm happy with the way it skeined. It looked on the skein. So I bought it because I was going, well, I'll tell you in a minute, but this is the Goblin Market. I'm really happy with how this one looks. This is going to be kind of like my variegated speckled color for the shawl. And then the last color, this is Green Line by Jagger Spun. I bought this in Maine when I went to Maine for my friend's wedding back in October. And the color is called Evergreen, and it's just a really beautiful green. So as far as colors go, I'm happy with what happened, and it actually worked out really well because I had, so of these colors, I knew that I wanted green. And this wasn't in my stash. I just went to Maine, and I went to a yarn store when I was in Bangor, and it was One Lupine, I believe is the name of the shop. So they had a bunch of Maine brand yarns, so I grabbed some Jagger Spun while I was there, and so I didn't buy it specifically for this project. I just bought it because it was pretty and green. So, and then this color, the Dragon Horde, the Goblin Market, I knew that I wanted green and silver to be my main colors, so I wanted to have like green and silver, so I didn't know what my third color would be, so I found the Goblin Market on Dragon Horde, and that's kind of what helped me to make the decision. Obviously, if that didn't work out, I don't know what I would have done, but it worked out perfectly. I'm really happy with how these 3 colors look together. And then the Mint Rain, the Daenerys, I actually had bought this for another project. I was going to make my sister and I a pair of coordinating cowls, and my sister is very not fun with her color choices. So with that, I just wanted to do a color that was kind of neutral. So I had this for that project, but I'm going to have to do something else for my sister now. But that's okay. I'm fine because this was already in my stash, and like I said, I just think it worked out perfectly the way these 3 colors look. I'm really happy with how they turned out. I think I'm really happy. So I think in the scheme of things, also the only other thing I was apprehensive, wow, my Midwest accent came out really hard on that apprehensive. I was a little apprehensive about this color specifically, the Jagger Spun. These 2 are both superwash wool, but the Jagger Spun is non-superwash. So I wasn't really sure about mixing non-superwash and superwash together, but it'll be fine. The shawl's for me. I'm not giving it to anybody, so I know to not do the things that would make it felt. So that's what I'm telling myself. I hope I don't end up regretting those words. I'll probably end up caking on, I already caked up. I probably will end up casting on for the shawl this evening, is my plan. Hopefully. I've never knit brioche before. I'm a little scared, but it'll all be fine. So that's, as far as knitting projects, that's all I've got right now. Hopefully you'll see me again in 2 weeks if I don't get sick and I don't, well, I've already taken a break, so I don't need another break, I suppose, but hopefully you'll see me again in 2 weeks and I will have some progress to show on some whips. But a couple things I wanted to talk about, which I guess, so first and foremost, because I don't really like being a tease, as far as talking about how I'm not knitting a pair of socks in this color next, I made a New Year's resolution for myself and I think I'm going to regret it ultimately, but my New Year's resolution for myself in 2021 is that I am not going to knit a single sock. I am going to knit anything but socks. So that's going to be interesting because socks are my comfort zone. Socks are pretty much all I knit this year, maybe with the exception, I think, of my golden hour shawl. So, oh, and I did start that one cowl, but that cowl is on my list of things to do. Don't worry about it. I haven't forgotten about it. You're not worried about it. I don't know why I just said don't worry about it. You're not worried about it. But anyway, socks are my comfort zone. Socks are what I know. Socks are what I'm happiest working with. And I don't want to be a one-trick pony. And I also have other things I want to knit that are in my various favorites lists on Ravelry and everywhere else. So I can knit socks in 2022, but I'm not going to knit any socks in 2021. I'm going to work on other things. I'm going to do all the things. I'm going to do a shawl, apparently. I'm going to finish that cowl, or restart that cowl and finish that cowl. I'm going to do other cowls, probably, maybe a couple other shawls, sweaters. I know I'm the worst sweater knitter on the planet, so I'm going to do some sweaters maybe. So that's kind of what I'm going to do. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm not knitting a single sock in 2021, but I think what I'm going to do actually, so I don't really like sweaters. I mean, I like sweaters to wear, but I have found that why would I knit a sweater with sleeves when I can just knit a sock, you know? So because, I mean, and really, what's a sleeve but a giant sock? But anyway, I kind of decided I'm going to try knitting a sweater without sleeves, aka I'm going to try knitting a sweater vest and see how that goes. But I think if I do a sweater vest, I think I want to do it in this color. Or maybe this color held double with some mohair to like soften it up a bit. But like I said, I love this color. It probably isn't a good color for me, but I don't care. Because like I said, like look how satisfying that looks in stockinette stitch. I'm not sorry. I can't be sorry. So that's kind of what I mean when I say I'm going to be knitting with this yarn again, but not any more socks. Because I don't want to knit any socks in 2021. I am going to work on other things. I'm going to do hats, sweaters, cowls, sweater vests. I'm going to do sweater vests. So that was that. And then the other thing I wanted to talk about a little bit was how, and I should have, I don't know, I wasn't recording at this time. So I did go on a yarn crawl, oh god, it was last week. Last week I went on a yarn crawl with my aunt. My aunt also knits and she crochets. So this is the same aunt who I did the honey harvest with. So because she knits and she crochets and I like to knit, we kind of joked a little earlier this summer about going on a yarn crawl. And anyway, we ended up making it happen. It was a Tuesday. I took some time off from work because I had all this PTO that if I didn't use it, I was going to lose it. So I took 2 days off last week, Monday and Tuesday, but I didn't take Wednesday or Friday because that was Thanksgiving week, and I didn't take Wednesday or Friday because I didn't want to use a full day of PTO for days that were gonna ultimately be half days. So regardless, so my aunt and I went on a yarn crawl and we had a lot of fun. We went to, we tried to go to 3 stores, but one of the stores had changed their hours. So, and it wasn't the hours being changed wasn't on the internet for us to know and find out about it. So we went to this, that was our first stop actually. So we went and there was a sign on the door saying, oh, here's what our hours are this week. Our hours are changing weekly due to further notice because Michigan is on lockdown still. So their hours changed. They weren't going to be open until later that afternoon, and it was going to be too late because I had an appointment in the afternoon. So regardless, we went there. We didn't go in because we couldn't. And then we went to the yarn stop in Clawson, which is a store that's new to me. I have only been there twice now, but we definitely had a fun time there. And then we also went to, oh, I think Yarn Stop was actually our final stop. Our second stop was Unique Knits in Royal Oak, which has been there for a long time. It's been there for at least 20 years, I feel like. I used to work across the street from there actually, but they're a big yarn store and it was kind of fun. They had a few things that, they have a cowl in there that I want to knit that I bought yarn for. So I'm going to be working on a bunch of cowls apparently coming up. If I see a cowl with cables on it, I want to knit it. That's what I'm finding out. So, because I got the Seki cowl that I know I need to finish too, that I need to restart and do the things. I get it. I know. So there was a cowl there that I want to do. And then I also did buy some yarn, and this is going to be a gift for my sister who does not watch the podcast, so I don't care. At some point I am going to, probably more closer to her birthday, which is in March, I'm going to knit her she wants an Afghan. I'm not giving her an Afghan. I might just give her a lap blanket though, because lap blankets are helpful, especially now that we're all home and our houses are cold. Offices are cold too though, so, you know, even if she wasn't in an office, she might still need a lap blanket. So I'm gonna do a lap blanket for her. The one they had, the sample they had, which ultimately was kind of what inspired me for this project, was they had, I mean, and it was a big Afghan there, but it was two strands of Plymouth yarn on the Plymouth Encore, held double. And theirs was really pretty because it was Michigan State colors. It was green, and then it was 2 strands of green held double, and it was then 2 strands of white held double for a decorative stripe. So that was really pretty, but I don't want to knit a full Afghan for my sister, so I'm only knitting her a lap blanket. I think she'll be fine. She'll be fine. But, so I bought some yarn to make my sister a lap blanket. I also did buy that yarn to make that cowl. And then at the yarn stop, I did buy some yarn to make another shawl in early 2021. So I have to get knit. I need to pick my head up and start knitting on this. But whoops, almost dropped it. So that's what I'm up to. It's December. Today is December 2nd. So a couple things have happened. Day after Halloween, I put up my Christmas tree already. 2 weeks after that, I put up my mom's Christmas tree. I put up my sister's Christmas tree. This is a fun fact about me, is my secret talent is lighting Christmas trees. I'm a genius at lighting Christmas trees. I don't want to say it that way, but I am. That's my secret talent. I'm really good at lighting trees. So that's that. On Sunday, I started making Christmas cookies because my family is doing our family celebration of Christmas, because people have conflicts this year for some reason. But we're doing family Christmas on the 12th now. So being that that's the 12th, and that is the Saturday after this Saturday, so next Saturday, I want to have the cookies done. So I got one batch of cookies done already on Sunday. I'm gonna do thumbprint cookies tonight, and then later next week I'm gonna do molasses cookies, because you gotta do molasses cookies closer to the time that you plan on serving them, because molasses cookies are delicious, but the older they get, the harder they become, and I don't want to eat a molasses cookie that's hard as a rock for my family Christmas. So that's what's going on here. Christmas festivities, I suppose. Probably not. It's probably just a normal Christmas, but it's gonna look a little different this year, but that's fine. It happens, and you know what? Sometimes change is good. So I'm gonna quit rambling, because this episode is gonna end up being a little on the longer side. Not too long. I don't think I'm gonna be quite at the 30-minute mark, but I don't want to keep grasping and making people think that I'm rambling, because I want to keep talking. So thank you everybody for taking the time to watch. I appreciate it if you made it this far. Let me know in the comments below. Let me know what are you doing to get in the festive spirit this holiday season. I know that it's going to be different for a lot of people, and I know that it's a hard time of year for people under normal circumstances sometimes, and I can understand that for many people this year might even, might be even harder than normal. So, if you're doing anything to get in the holiday spirit, or if there's anything about this time of year that makes you especially happy, just go ahead and comment down below. My favorite thing, I love this time of year. I don't know. I think it's just deeply pathological. It's something in the back of my brain, but definitely my favorite thing to do at this time of year is help people, because I know it's stressful. So usually it's just me helping my family or my friends. So, do you need me to come decorate? I just tell people, do you need me to come decorate your tree? Do you need me to wrap gifts? Do you need me to make cookies? What do you need me to do to make it less stressful for you? So that's what I try to do, because I'm very lucky that I am not stressed at this time of year, but I'm lucky because I know this time of year can be stressful for other people, and I do not get stressed out this time of year. But part of that is also just because I refuse to let this time of year stress me out, because there are things to do and there are things to be fun and had, and that makes no sense. Anyway, yeah. Let me know about how you're feeling the holiday spirit, and if there's anything that you do particularly love specifically about this time of year. Thank you for taking the time to watch. If you have any, I'll leave that until the next episode. That can be another question for another episode, if I get one more in before the end of the year. Thank you again for taking the time to watch. I'm gonna let you go. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I hope you have a great time. Happy knitting.